What's up, guys? I thought it was a good time to maybe talk a little bit about the upcoming game and what I think it's going to be, what to expect. Also, talk a little bit about the AI. And the game is 2 weeks away. I'm really excited about it. I'm sure you guys are looking forward to it too. So it's just 2 more weeks, and finally, we'll get our NASCAR fix. Okay, that being said, um, I wanted to sort of not make. I wouldn't call it a prediction, but I guess it's sort of a preview. I guess it would be considered sort of a prediction about what this game is going to be, what we're actually getting, not what we wish it would be, but what do we really think it's going to finally be, the final product. And so far, judging based off of everything we've seen so far, I would say that the game looks good visually. My only gripe is still that the cars still have that weird glare effect. I don't like it. Doesn't look like it's going away. They haven't done anything about it. You know, they fixed the ride height issue, but they didn't touch the cars. It's not the end of the world. The game still looks good graphics wise. It doesn't look bad. It's just a really naggy type thing, the way the cars look. So I wish they would do something about it, but I'm not expecting it anymore. I don't think. I think that what we've seen is what it's going to be as far as the way the cars look. They don't look bad. They don't look, awful or anything. It's just that glare effect. That's the thing that bothers me. The rendering of the cars they're okay, but if you look at the cars on this game, if you compare it to, let's say, Forza, there's night and day difference. You cannot. The Forza NASCAR rendered cars blow these away, hands down. They just look better. But I don't have a problem with the graphics overall. The game looks good, so I'm not bashing the graphics. It's just the thing with the cars themselves, that glare effect, and all the nighttime footage that I've seen, that glare isn't there. So it's obviously meant to replicate sun glare. It's not something that's always there. So if you do a night race, apparently that effect is not there. So if any of you have noticed and seen some of the nighttime racing, you could see the difference. Moving on from that, the physics and the handling, as I've said in the past, I have no idea what we're getting. It's hard to really get a grasp of that judging just by watching gameplay footage. Physics and handling is something that you can only really notice when you actually play the game. You feel it. The way, the feedback you get and the input that you give the controls, that's where you feel what the physics and handling, what they really like. Um, However, there are certain things that have sort of raised the flag, like doesn't you don't see that RPM really drop in the corners as much as you would think. You can hear the cars. They don't let off the gas as much, and the way that the developer talks about the physics and the handling, they make it sound as if these cars are supposed to be realistic in the way that they feel. The weight of the cars is supposed to be heavy and difficult to drive. I haven't gotten that sense just by watching gameplay play footage, but as I said, you really got to play the game to really be able to really know what the handling and the physics are going to be like. So I can't really get into it. I don't know what to expect. The AI is the one thing that really has stood out to me in a positive way. It looks very stable. The cars, they drive, and they don't seem to be just on rails, and they seem to spread out as the race wears on, as in contrast to the way it was with the Technics, where these cars would stay bunched in a pack lap after lap after lap. They would never break apart. It was almost as if they programmed the AI in those games to be like restrictor plate racing at every track. So in this game, you can see there's an obvious difference in a positive way. So I'm looking forward to see how good it really is long term in a long race, long runs. And the other thing about the AI is this adaptive AI, which is supposed to adapt to your skill level. We haven't really seen anything in any gameplay footage that actually shows you how they adapt. This is all based on the word of the developer. And I read an article recently that talked a little bit about it, and I had questions myself about how it actually works. Do the AI adjust to you lap by lap? In other words, can you notice the difference within the same race? Or is it a race by race basis or track by track? In other words, when you finish the race at that particular track, you don't notice the difference in the AI until the next time you run at that same track. And I'm thinking, based on the article I read, as well as just from what I've seen from the gameplay footage, I'm guessing, I'm expecting it to be that it's going to be a track by track basis. In other words, you run your race, let's say at Kentucky. The next time you go to Kentucky, your rating at that track is going to be higher. It's going to be whatever it is that you finished the last time you were there, and the AI is going to adjust accordingly. It also makes sense because you get a track rating or a driver rating at the end of each race. So it makes sense that that's how it works. So I don't expect that when you run, let's say, at Kentucky or Charlotte, whatever the case may be, let's say you run a 100-lap race, I don't expect the AI to run differently at, let's say, lap 50 than at the start of the race. I don't think you're going to see that. I don't think that's the way it's designed. I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong and somebody does know, feel free to correct me. I could be wrong, but that's what it looks like it's going to be. So that's what I'm expecting. And it's fine by me. That sounds like it'll work. Obviously, because of if it is that way, I would expect that it's going to take some time. You're going to have to put a lot of work into the game before you actually see the game at its best. So you're going to have to run at every track. You're going to have to put some laps in. You're going to have to bring that every track. You're going to have to bring that rating up, or whatever your skill level is, it's going to adjust to you. But maybe you have to race a whole season. That might be the case. My other thing is, does the AI adapt only in career mode? Or can you go in and just run a single season where it's not a career mode, it doesn't count to your career, but just run a full season, right? And bring the rating at each track up. And then when you go to career mode, the AI had already adjusted at least to a certain extent. I hope I explained that without it being too confusing. But I'm hoping that it doesn't matter what mode you're in, it's going to adapt to you. Because I don't want to feel like I'm wasting a year or two in my career just racing AI that's on super easy and it's not fully adjusting to me, and I gotta actually sacrifice my first 2 years of my career just to get the AI to where it should be. So I'm hoping that's not forced on you that way. So that's pretty much the idea I'm getting and what I expect from the AI. The online, the multiplayer, they announced 40-player online. I don't know what else to say. I'm expecting, hopefully, it's stable. It's a server based, so I'm not big on online racing, as I've said before, but I'm definitely going to play it. I'm going to try it. I want to put some time into it so that when I do review the game, I can at least speak from experience. um, enough to give at least some input into what I think of the online. Um, the other things that I'm expecting from this game, I'm expecting realistically, I'm being honest, I'm expecting that this game is going to feel unfinished, almost like a, not a beta, not to that extent, but it's going to have that type of feel where when you play a beta, you don't get to try everything in the game. You just get like a certain amount that you can actually play. And I think the game is going to have that kind of unfinished feel to it. I think there's going to be a lot of things missing. We already know there's no paintball. So, knowing that, I think there's going to be a lot of little details, all kinds of things that are going to add up to make the game feel unfinished. I'm not predicting that the game's going to be bad at all. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that it's going to have an unfinished feel to it, like it's not fully fleshed out. This is based on just everything we've seen so far, plus what we know. They've already clearly said they didn't have enough time developing this game to add a paint booth and things like the other series. I'm not that I'm not making a big deal out of the other series. I think that's something that can wait. I would rather they focus on fully fleshing out this game at least the next time around. And once they have a really well-rounded, fully fleshed out, immersive game that doesn't feel like it's really missing anything, then add the other series. I want to play the other series, but I don't think it's as vital to the success of this particular game that it has to be right away. Something that I think Paint Booth is way more important to have done sooner because that's a vital part of career mode and just the experience of NASCAR. Um, when you think about the other series, really, it's a couple of additional tracks and just really different vehicles. It's not a huge difference in the overall experience. So I'm not saying it's not important. It's important, but it's not as important to me as other things. So I'm thinking the game's going to feel a little bit unfinished. That doesn't mean I think the game's going to be bad at all. Okay? In fact, I do think that the game can have some of these things missing and still end up being a decent game. So I don't think this is going to be a bad game at all. I just don't think it's going to be like, wow, this is an amazing game. I think anybody that is expecting this game to be like the best NASCAR game ever is going to be disappointed. And I think we should keep our expectations a little more realistic because of, like I said, there's going to be things missing that, it's just going to detract from the game a little bit. Um, the most important thing is the racing experience, and that's why so much emphasis is put on the AI, and I think that is important. So if the AI turns out to be as good as they're touting it to be, it can make the racing really enjoyable, and that's the core of the game. So in spite of everything else, that's obviously the most important part of the game. Okay, the other thing I haven't seen much of is presentation. The only thing we've seen, and it's cool, I do like it, is, creating your character and the pre-race at every track. They give you that quick little rundown of the track, and that's cool. That's important part of presentation. But other than that, we haven't seen anything else. I'm hoping, this is my hope, that they are keeping a lot from us. They don't want to show us everything right away so that we can be surprised. That's my hope. But what I hope and what I really believe are two different things. And if I'm being realistic, I think that we're not going to see a lot of presentation beyond that. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong about a lot of things. But being honest, being realistic, I think that you're not going to see a lot more presentation beyond that. And I like that. the pre-race showing the tracks, but I'm really hoping for the type of things we used to see in games from 10 years ago, where you actually saw that and you saw the cars during the warm-up lap, and they would announce each driver and where they were starting, and they would go through the field. If any of you guys remember those games from way back when, we had stuff like that, and that was great. I loved it. So I'm hope it might be in the game. We don't know that, but I'm just saying if I had a gun to my head and I had to like make a prediction, I would say I don't think that's going to be in the game, and I hope I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'm going to be ecstatic. But moving on from that, I think that's pretty. We've seen the kind of presentation that's pretty much going to be in the game. I'm not sure they're going to surprise us with anything additional. I hope they do. I don't think so. And from the footage we've seen in the gameplay, I don't see any post race at all. I haven't seen like people doing burnouts. I didn't see any victory lane celebrations. I haven't seen much in terms of statistics, which is a little scary to me. I'm hoping that they have a nice, fully fleshed out statistical compilation of all your accomplishments. Post race, where you are in the standings, how many wins you have, top fives, top tens, DNFs, laps led, total laps run. All these statistics. I want to see that in the game, and we used to get that stuff many years ago, and I'm hoping that we get that. I haven't seen anything like that. The menu screens, you see the tracks, certain things. A little bit we've seen of the career building and improving your cars and the organization, stuff like that, which is great. But other than that, we haven't seen much else where that's menu based or that shows statistics. That is a big concern of mine because, as many of you guys remember, Technics, that was one of their biggest failures. If you've seen any of my videos from my reviews where I destroyed Technics on all their games, it was the same thing. One of the things that upset me more than anything about Technics was their sheer lack of statistics. How do you develop a sports game and not have statistics is beyond me. It blew me away. It was in a bad way. And it was one of the things that I hated most about Technics, that a developer can develop a sports title and not put any importance to statistics. Look at any other sports franchise. Football, basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, any game has loads of statistics. And those games have more statistics than a NASCAR game would have. NASCAR's, when you look at all the statistics that would come with the sport of NASCAR, it's not a lot. I already said it. I just mentioned to you the type of stats I'm expecting to look at. And it should have, year by year, career totals, that kind of stuff. There's no excuse not to have it, and I'm expecting to see that in the game. So, but like I said, I haven't seen anything like that in any of the gameplay footage. So I'm really looking forward to see how DMR handles that. So I'm not sure what we're going to see with that, but I'm expecting to see a full statistical compilation for everything. And I think I've said everything I'm expecting from the game, pretty much. Like I said, I think overall the game's going to have that unfinished feel to it. They didn't have enough time to do paintball, so I could imagine all the other little details that may not be in the game. There's a chance I could be wrong about a lot of these things, and I hope I am. Believe me, I hope I'm wrong. But based on everything we've seen, that's what I think this game is going to be. Doesn't mean that I think the game's going to be bad. I think the game is going to be good in some ways, and it's going to be bad in other ways. So, like everything else, there's going to be a negative and a positive. But I don't think this game is going to blow anyone away. It's not going to be a game that I think anyone's going to walk away saying this is the greatest NASCAR game I ever. This is number one at the top of the list. I don't think so. Uh, we had the Thunder Series, we had the original NASCAR Heat. Those games were really good, and they set the bar pretty high. Unfortunately, as the years went on, I don't know what's happened with NASCAR games and developers, and they just let the quality of the games go down the toilet. And DMR really seems genuine in their desire to give us the games that we've been wanting. So that's what I'm expecting. Now, as far as the review goes, I'm planning to review the game maybe between a week to 10 days after the release. I, I'm sure there's going to be people who do a review day one. But I honestly don't think I could give a proper review without investing time into the game. And one of the biggest reasons is, like I talked about before, the AI. It's going to take time for the AI to adjust to you, which is going to change the racing experience. So you really do have to put time into the game, and that's what I want to do. I really want to put enough time into the game that I know, okay, this is what the game is. I can talk about it intelligently and not just base the game from a day or two of playing it. I think this game, you're going to have to put more time into it before you really know what it is. So, what do you guys think as far as what you're expecting from this game? What are your predictions? How do you think the game's going to be? And I look forward to this game. It's only 2 weeks away, so I look forward to your comments as well. I'll see you guys in a few weeks, I guess. Like I said, a week or 10 days after the game comes out, I'll put a review up. And then, shortly after that, I'm going to do a video strictly talking about where this game is and where it can be. And I'm going to give all my suggestions on how to improve this franchise and how to create a game that is going to be the best game ever. Just my opinions, of course, and I'm going to do a video just about what I'd like to see in the future from this franchise. And I think that's one video people are going to enjoy listening to because I have some pretty good ideas. So I look forward to your comments, and I'll see you guys in a couple of weeks.